Hi everybody, welcome back. Today we're going to talk about something very sweet that we have at our houses. Can you guess what it is? It's sugar. And then after we get done talking about it, we're going to do an experiment. Now, this experiment we're going to do on the stove, so you're going to need a grown-up to help you. But first, let's talk about what sugar is. Go ahead and put a little bit of sugar right in your hand, and then get real close and look at it. What does it look like to you? Does it look like a liquid? Does it look like water? No. Does it sort of look like tiny, tiny little pieces? Yeah? What does it look like to you? Does it look like a liquid? Does it look like water? No. Does it look like a bunch of tiny little pieces? Well, sugar is actually a crystal. That is, there's tiny little building blocks that get put together in a certain way. The kind of sugar we have at home is something called a disaccharide. That means it's actually made of two kinds of sugars that are linked together. So I built this little Lego model for you to look at. Do you see how there's a circle on this side and a circle on this side, and they're held together? They're held together by something called bonds that hold together the individual pieces, sort of like how the Legos are held together. Now, if nothing is happening to the sugar, if there's no outside forces acting on the sugar, this is how it'll stay when it's on your table. But if we add heat, these bonds start to break. And they start to sort of move around. And the more heat we add, the more they change until we have a completely new kind of sugar. And when that happens, the sugar is going to look different. So the sugar we're going to make today is actually called caramel or caramel. So when we're going to add so much heat to the sugars that what's going to happen is they're going to break down. They're going to start reforming in different ways. And then eventually they're going to start to turn brown. And that's called burning. But we're not going to burn it all the way. We're just going to burn it a little bit, and that just adds a little bit of flavor. And then when it's done, it doesn't look like crystals anymore. It's not going to pour like this anymore. What's going to happen is it's going to be a liquid, and then as it cools down, it's going to turn into a solid that's sort of a golden color. And you can use it for decorations, on desserts, and all sorts of things. And it's actually really tasty. So let's go get started. To help me make shapes out of the caramel, I have this silicone mat as well as these silicone cupcake holders, which I have sprayed with nonstick spray so that I can get the cup shapes off of them a little more easily. To start with, we're going to pour 1 cup of sugar and 1/4 cup of water into a pan. Now this is going to be over medium heat, because if we have it up too high, the sugar will start to burn before all of it melts. And then we're just going to leave it while it heats up. Don't stir it, don't do anything. Once the sugar dissolves, you're not going to touch this pan anymore. The sugar has started to boil, so we're not going to stir anymore, and we're not going to move the pan. The only thing we're going to do from now on is we're going to use a little bit of water around the edge of the pan with a pastry brush or with a syringe, and this prevents the sugar from recrystallizing before we want it to. So as you can see, our sugar has completely melted. Now we're just waiting for all of the water to boil away. You can see it in the steam that's coming out of the pot. Once all of the water has boiled away, the sugar will start to brown and our caramel will be done. Our sugar has started to brown, so swirl your pot to get the color evenly throughout the caramel.
One more time and we're ready to shape our caramel. Being very careful not to touch the caramel, go ahead and shape it. I made some spirals and some dots. I poured some hot caramel over these to make some nice cup shapes that you can use to hold desserts. Once you're sure the caramel is completely cool, you can pick up and look at the shapes you've made. Here are a couple of spirals. Here's a dot. And here's another spiral I made that I think will look great on top of a cupcake or on top of a cake. Do be careful, they are very fragile. In addition to those, I made these cups. And if you lift them off very carefully, you'll see that you can put ice cream or mousse in there, and then you'll be able to eat the bowl as well as the dessert.
So what did you think? Did you have a good time? Isn't it amazing that we can take regular sugar and change it from a powder to a liquid, and then it turns into a different solid? That's what heat can do. It can break those bonds and change the way they work. I hope you had a great time. I'll see you all next time. Bye.